Hello, my loves, and welcome to this week's episode of the Alchemy Lounge podcast, where we talk about how you can master your manifestations and alchemize your life to create the lifestyle that you truly desire. And today I'm talking about my 6 predictions for 2026. So last week I spoke about my 5 lessons from 2025. So this is kind of a follow on from that with how I feel the world is going to shift and change and alter throughout 2026. So first off, I feel there is definitely a shift towards more human connection occurring at the moment. So you may have already felt this shift coming through, and the last time we kind of felt this was post-COVID. So during the pandemic, obviously we were taught to isolate and distance ourselves, and prior to that there had already been a more insular shift anyway. But once we came through that pandemic and once the social distancing and everything was kind of lifted, we really strive to get back our human connection and our communities again. This has kind of fallen away a little bit over the last year or so, but I definitely feel this human connection and the need for community is going to come back through again, and it kind of links into some of my other predictions for 2026 as well. But what I would call for you to assess, if you like, is where you have your safe spaces at the moment. Do you have a network of supporters around you, and more importantly expanders, which I'm going to come on to as well? And you already know your network is linked to your net worth and things like that, and that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend most time with. That really influences on your success and your wealth stories and all of these other things that we already kind of know. But there's a real drive towards these communities that are not just about cheerleaders. And I'll come on to this as my second one, actually. So we're going to be seeing this shift from just being around your cheerleaders and people who fully love and support you, because that is a standard that we are already seeing as a given. Okay, it's like when we ask the universe, oh, I want to be happy, or I want to feel love. Like, that's a given. That is your birthright. Like, we know that already. So it's already a given at this phase that you have people who love and support you and are going to cheer you on, even if they have no bloody idea what it is that you're actually working towards, which happens a lot, right? So we're moving away from cheerleaders. This is the second prediction, and into more expansive spaces. This is exactly why I've now created a more expansive space for my clients as well. But we don't just want to be around people who are going to cheer us on. And the reason for this is your cheerleaders are going to always be very agreeable. And you may or may not see this in your family and your immediate friends, but it's rare that they're going to call you out, unless you're friends with me or married to me, in which case I do, because it's part of my nature. But also when I'm wearing like the wife hat or the friend hat, I don't call people out unless it's invited, right? Sometimes I do when I know that they really need it. However, when we're in those roles, there is the supporting act, right? We know that that is our kind of duty in that space. When you are working as an expander, so when I am working as a coach, I am not employed as your coach to agree with you. I am there to call you out and to see your blind spots, and to also show you where you're talking bullshit and you're just limiting yourself and you're trying to keep yourself safe. That is my job. That is why people employ me as their coach, right? And in 2026, you want to be in more of those spaces. So not only so you are called out, because you're being called out with love, but also so you're not just being told that every idea is amazing, you're amazing, life is amazing, you're wonderful. You know, that's what you can use ChatGPT for, because that's the same. That's always going to agree with you and tell you that you're amazing. And yes, your idea is super and there's never been an idea like it. And then you realize actually that's not true, because ChatGPT is just bullshitting you. So you want to be in spaces with real people where you are expanded and you're shown potential. They're working as your role models because they're also striving for things much bigger than themselves and may seem completely delusional to an outside person, or to a muggle, but to you, that's expansive. And that's going to really shift you more than just being around your cheerleaders ever will. So those two kind of link together. So we were going to see more of this human connection, this need for community, but communities that expand you and help you grow. And you will already know that there is a need for this. If you have been in spaces like this before, you've come out of those spaces because the container has kind of ended, or for other reasons, you've come out of that space. And then you found that you can't replicate your results and that your manifestations slow down. And it's almost like you forget how to manifest and you forget how to be. And you're not around these people anymore. You're just around your cheerleaders, which is great. But then actually you're not growing anymore. You're not expanding and you're not continuing that momentum. Okay, which is why the space I've created, the University of Alchemy and Manifestation, is ongoing. It's for life. So you have that community forever. So even though you may graduate, you don't ever leave that space unless you want to. Okay, you're always going to be around those expanders. So that's the first two. We will follow that on with number 3, which is the connection between science and technology. So things like AI and spirituality. So I already bridged the science with the spirituality because that was my journey and that was my path as a cynic and someone who struggled to believe in the psychic work and the spiritual connection, even though I'd experienced it as a really young child and I'd had these paranormal kind of phenomena and these experiences. I was still very much a cynic and an atheist and didn't really believe it. I had to know why and understand the science and the psychology behind it all as well. So I already bridged those two worlds because they help the human and the soul integrate. It makes your life a lot easier. But in 2026, there is going to be much more of a bridge between these and technology as well. And this is because we're now in the age of Aquarius, and an Aquarius over here, shockingly. But we're going to see more of this connection and how we can start to integrate the two, because up until this point, there's been very much a distinction. You are either spiritual or you're scientific. You are either technologically minded and very logical, very analytical, or you can be woo and witchy. And what we're starting to see now is you can be both. You can be whatever you want to be. And take me as living proof. You can be both. You can be intelligent and organized and logical, analytical, work with technology, utilize AI however you deem fit, and still connect to source and higher consciousness and have your witchcraft practices and be manifesting and creating from feminine flow and intuition. You can have both. Okay, so we're going to see more of that coming through in 2026. We are also going to see, thank the Lord, that people are actually going to take back their own authority and permission and stopping this jumping around, always seeking for things external to you, whether that be you're seeking your desires external to you and that they're not already here and seeing that differentiation between you, which is not the case, or looking to others to either validate you or to provide for you or to give you the answers. We're going to see people actually start to claim their own authority, which is amazing. And this will also link into people who have been overly reliant on their practices and their tools. So things like tarot or astrology, which I love and I adore. But I have seen this over reliance and dependency on these tools rather than actually listening to your inner authority and knowing when actually your readings and looking at your chart is becoming a projection and more about your inner psychology and your current state than a prediction tool. Okay, there's a very, very distinct difference between these two practices. Okay, being psychic and intuitive versus actually you're projecting, and these tools are trying to highlight to you what you're projecting and what you're putting out and why you're creating the reality that you are. There's a huge distinction between these two. I'm actually going to talk about this in my workshop. So I will drop the link to the workshops in the show notes so you can register on a date that suits you. But this is where we're going to talk about this dependency on tools rather than inner authority. But we're going to see this shift in 2026 where we actually stop this permission and validation seeking and own our own self-authority, which is awesome. And on a similar note, number 5 is where we're going to see not a complete stop to this, but people who have been on a self-development journey for a while, who have been navigating the spiritual realms, who have been investing in themselves, who have been increasing their knowledge and working on their own personal development for a while, you are now going to shift from that knowledge collection and start to actually shift into implementing it. Because you may have a gorgeous library of self development. And whenever we gather this knowledge, and I completely get this as someone who is what I call an eternal student, why do you think I've created a lifetime university? Because I love to learn, and the people around me love to learn, and my clients love to learn. However, that has to be combined with implementation and action, because that is what turns your knowledge into wisdom. Okay, you learn through the doing and the actions and the implementation and the trial and error, and things going tits up. Okay, we have to implement the knowledge. We have to test the knowledge and see what works for you. So in 2026, we're going to start to see these people who have been gathering so much knowledge actually go, okay, this is wonderful. I'm seeing lots of things repeated. I am spending more of my time consuming, and it's not converting into a change in my reality because I'm not utilizing it. So we're going to see these people start to implement and start to become the wise ones that they are here to be. They're also going to start to teach and facilitate themselves as well, because they have so much knowledge that once they convert that into wisdom, that then your duty, like mine is to share that wisdom, okay, to support other people as well. And finally, this links into number 6. These people are going to be your standout visionaries. So we're going to see a shift from people shrinking and playing small and being scared of being visible, especially on social media. And you're going to stop seeing all these people who are mini clones, either clones of their coaches and their mentors or clones of AI. We're going to stop seeing their presence so much, because you're going to start to see these wise ones and these visionaries really own their self-authority again. They're going to be giving themselves permission, not seeking it from AI. And we're going to see them really start to stand out and really start to shine. And these are going to be your lighthouses, your beacons. They're going to be your expanders. And they are going to be people who are going to move you through this age of Aquarius, through this year of the horse, through this 1 year in 2026, and start to showcase how you can have your own new beginnings as well, because they are going to be starting their own new chapters and embracing their new identities, which is so bloody exciting. And I'm here for it. And I can't wait to see that within my clients and potentially within you as well, if you are part of my world. And it's going to be a good year. It's going to be an expansive year. It's going to be a year of, again, shifting and changing, but it's more momentum and movement. And whereas 2025 has felt very much like a bit destructive in parts, and things that we've not willingly let go of had kind of been taken away from us, and we've seen shifts in a more kind of aggressive way in 2025. 2026 is a different energy to that. It's not gentle. It's certainly not gentle, but it's swift and it's strong and it's bringing courage with it, which is gorgeous. And if you can tap into that energy and have that courage and conviction and confidence in yourself and your moves that you're making, you can completely change your life a lot quicker than a year as well. Some people are going to have really big transitions in the first couple of months of 2026, and it's going to change the trajectory of their entire lives. So this is not a year where you have to spend the entire year making changes and waiting to see results. There's going to be a lot of quantum jumps happening in 2026, which is awesome. So I would love to know what you are creating in 2026. What is on your manifestation list for the year? Make sure you do jump onto a workshop so you know which tools are going to support you in that and which tools are actually going to be hindering your progress. And if you have any requests for 2026 as well for the podcast, I would love to hear from you and know your suggestions for topics, things that you want to hear me talk about, or people that you want me to interview and to connect with. drop that in the comments on this show as well. But I wish you the most gorgeous new year and all the magic coming your way in 2026. And I will see you on the other side.